This episode of PPC Live, the podcast, is sponsored by AdSquire. AdSquire are a small team of passionate and focused legal marketers that do what it takes to get law firms spectacular results. With the landscape always changing, they stay on top of the trends and are first to find and use new strategies to accomplish this for their clients. And so if you're a law firm, you definitely want to give them a call. They've been they've been the first to get to serve a lawyer ad on ChatGPT. And we know that even with all like the fact that it's very new, you really want to be testing some of these new strategies very early. And yeah, the AdSquire team have got inside knowledge on how to do that and have started doing that for their clients already. So if you want to have your ads showing in ChatGPT and you're a law firm, they're the ones to contact. So please go to adsquire.com to find out how much they can help you. Hello and welcome to PPC Live, the podcast. I'm your host, Anu, the founder of PPC Live. And nearly every week on the show, I speak to a different PPC expert about their biggest F-up and how they've turned things around. And we do then talk about the industry F-ups and, what people need to be doing better, especially in 2026. We share what was disappointing, how the story emerged, who was helpful, who was not too helpful, and just really what were the key learnings that turn things around and what they do differently today based on that incident that happened. This week, I have the immense delight of having a chat with the Ginny Marvin, and, a lot of you will know her as being the Google Ads liaison of Google, and being in the industry and just really sharing with us, what's going on and really communicating with advertisers on behalf of Google. She's been doing that for over 2 years. But even before then, she was an account manager. She was someone who dealt with accounts, dealt with optimizations, was also, sometimes the ones also battling with some of Google's updates and trying to figure out what was best to do in terms of implementing for her clients. So yeah, she talks us through one of those stories about working with an international client. And, the things she learned as to what to do, how to deal with someone who has made that mistake as a leader, and just how to move forward with a good relationship with a client after making a mistake. So yeah, let's go chat to Ginny. Hello, Ginny. Welcome to PPC Live, the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Anu. It's great to be with you.
No, I'm so delighted. This started off like a whole, my influencer style LinkedIn post. Like, can we get Ginny on the podcast? And I love the way I kind of made it seem like it would be a big deal. And you were just like, yeah, I knew that.
I know. I think I answered with an emoji, yeah, deal.
I was like, okay, let's do this. And I was like, that was so fun. And I just love, Ginny, that's always the impression that you've given. What I've always perceived of you is that you're just so generous with time and generous with if you need something about something, even before your Google role, it's always been the case. So for those who don't know, there may be one or two of you who don't know, let me introduce Ginny to you. Ginny is the ads product liaison at Google, who she helps answer questions about how the Google Ads products and policies work and bring marketers' insights and perspectives back to the team working on them. And I will genuinely say that we noticed that because we noticed a shift in a bit of like the updates that were happening pre and post you joining Google. And I feel like a lot of us, like in the PPC chat on your audience, were like, yeah, that's a Ginny thing. Ginny, they're listening to Ginny. Thank God they're listening to Ginny. And so now we're like, okay, we'll go to Ginny with our issues to make sure we mention Ginny with all our issues because she will pass it on. Right.
Yeah. I would just one thing on that, because I don't want to take too much credit for that. I would say like there is a real desire to listen to feedback that I've seen like gain traction. Yeah. So not just coming from me, but coming from all various different sources from around the company, standing up different roundtables and interview sessions and things like that. So I'm glad to hear that.
That's fantastic. I mean, there's been a lot more of that. And I know it's not just you. I mean, unless it would have been a big fight if it had been just you. That it really did seem like there was like a willingness to be like, okay, a lot more roundtable, a lot more, getting, insights from more advertisers. And it must be a teamwork, team effort that has resulted in that. But, we're not here to actually talk about Ginny's time at Google. We're here to talk about Ginny as well as a digital marketer because she's been in the industry for many years. How long now? I would say probably 20, close to 20.
I was just doing the math and it's like 21 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and Google has only been about maybe a couple of years of that time. Or is it 2-3 years?
Yeah. It was new.
Yeah, exactly. So, and yeah, Ginny's got some fantastic, great experience, has been quoted in the New York Times, in the Business Insider, Washington Post, amongst different publications. I filled her very big shoes at Search Engine Land as being like, the editor there. She was chief editor there, did a fantastic work. Actually, an interesting question I thought that I'd ask even at this stage, because you've done account management, you've done writing. Which one do you feel like you like more?
I like learning. I would say, as long as I'm learning, I am happy. And the writing sort of came accidentally.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure I was, one, going to be good at it, and two, that it would be a good fit. But I always kind of kept my hands in working with clients either behind the scenes or, and so that helped me stay sort of in the know, but also, but the writing piece is fascinating. And I'm sure you see this, because you are having to stay on top of everything. You have a very broad breadth of understanding across the ecosystem that is really helpful. And also you can sort of lose track of how hard it is to stay on top of everything because that's your job. And so when people are like, wait, what change are you talking about? That was 2 years, 2 months ago. Didn't you read my article? Yeah. But then I realized, no, that is not right. Because the number of times that I would say, oh, I don't really remember that, and search for it, and then my article would come up. Do I even remember writing that?
Absolutely. I think I've actually even written one, and then Danny has gone, and I'm pretty sure I wrote about that a few weeks ago. And I'm like, yeah, we'll link to it. We'll find a way of making it different. We'll link to each other's articles. Yeah, there's so much going on. There's so much to learn. Okay. Well, yeah, we've had a very lovely introduction to Ginny there. But before we get into her talking about past mistakes, I always like getting my guests to share a fun fact about them. So, Ginny, what's your fun fact?
My fun fact, probably most people or a lot of people know that I like to be on the water. I like to sail. One thing that people may not know about me that's a little random is I ran my own pet products website for 5 years.
Oh, wow.
And so kind of for a number of reasons. But anyway, so I learned a lot during that process as well. So.
Oh, lovely. What kind of pets? Are you the full range of pets or?
Honestly, I thought it'd be interesting to, obviously the pet industry is crazy competitive. And so I went niche into products specifically for senior pets.
Okay.
Yeah. And in doing that, this was sort of a side gig, but I was also managing all the customer service and taking all those calls. And so, it was a learning experience in such a number of ways. So.
Different ways. Yeah. I feel like, monitoring customer calls would have a good prep for where you are right now in terms of monitoring the Google ad advertisers telling you what we want, what we don't like. And it's all about, the customer service journey has been long in your career. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Let's get to the story. I mean, it's so great to, all the guests that have come on. I feel like you're the most influential of the people of the guests that I've had so far, but there have been just so many fantastic people, so many fantastic stories. And, and we'll get more. And I'm hoping that gets people to be like, okay, if Ginny can do it, so can I. So it's got
you've had a lot of amazing guests, really, and great stories. So
really great stories. So we'll hand it over to you, Ginny. What's the F up you'd like to share with us today? One or two of them. Yeah. 1, 2, 3.
Well, the quick one that haunts me that I don't really have much more to share on it, but this happened very long ago, pre-smart bidding, and I was in-house. So at least I was in-house. And I changed a budget from, I was trying to change it to 70 cents and I changed it to $70.
Oof. Ooh.
And this was before, and I don't know if I was part of the impetus for making this change. That Google now you have to basically double click and are you sure you want to make this big bid change? But yeah, so that was a heart racing experience. Luckily, it didn't run for very long. I caught it. It was able to be sort of, I wouldn't say absorbed in the budget, but I was able to explain it, and it wasn't disastrous because at least I was in the campaigns regularly. But that is one of those things that comes back and like haunts my my memories. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially for the fact that it was before smart bidding, I totally understand that, where you're like, oh gosh, yeah, I'm the one that did that. You can't blame that on the Google system. You did that. The change history will show you.
Yes. We weren't using any bid management system at that point. So yes. So that was a lot of lessons in a lot of things. But the one I wanted to share is also an early days learning that has sort of shaped the way I approach a number of things in my PPC work, but also in working with clients and team members. And so again, many years ago, we had a client that was based in India, and we'd been managing their campaigns or their paid media for not that long, maybe a few months. And a junior member on our team, we were launching new campaigns, and she set the budgets incorrectly. And that meaning much higher than should have been. And we woke up, because of the time difference, we're in the States, woke up to frantic emails, demands for calls. And so it was a lot of lessons in how to deal with somebody who's feeling terrible about a mistake they've made, how to manage customer anger and frustration and restore trust.
Yeah.
So we got on the call with them, acknowledged the mistake. I think number one, like, don't be defensive when something's gone wrong. Acknowledge the mistake. Tried to explain it, but not over-explain it.
Yeah.
The mistake is a mistake.
Yeah.
And then just worked with them to say, okay, here's where we're starting from now. This is what we have left for this. They were very budget constrained at that point. This is what we have for budget. This is how we're going to make the most of it. We came with ideas and said, and acknowledged, we know that we're going to have to earn your trust back on this. And so let's increase our frequency of communication. Yeah. What else do you want to see from us? And some of that doesn't mean just do whatever the client says. If the client said, we want to talk to you every hour, no.
Yeah. 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 Some people use that as an excuse to be like, okay, let's be as demanding as we can right now. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, and then obviously internally we regrouped and thought through processes a little bit differently. Like, let's put stringent processes in. And so, it was a very good early learning experience that we ended up having that client for many years. So it did not wreck the relationship. And but it was very stressful.
Yeah, I'm sure.
In the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure. And, something that's interesting that especially that even happens much more. Well, a part of that story that I'm very interested in, I don't even think that has been brought up in other conversations, is actually, working with international clients, working with people that are in different time zones. And, and how you manage that to try to help, mitigate things. Was there anything that was different, that was more of like that was because of the time zone different, that you did differently because, okay, their time zone is earlier, let's make sure Is there any way of being able to communicate to a client faster when you could be asleep when they're sending an email? Like, what are your tips for that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And we had a lot of international clients at that point. And we obviously you're figuring out when you're going to schedule calls at
Yeah.
a mutually beneficial time. And we had launching cadences that would try to overlap as much as possible with
Mm,
our overlapping time zones.
yeah.
Sometimes that's hard.
Yeah.
But again, I think it's really more about that like fundamental, you know, setting expectations,
Mm,
being as communicative as possible. So
yeah.
if they are going to wake up to a new whatever set of campaigns, or
Yeah.
maybe we've launched new landing pages, or whatever the changes are, that there's a clear outline of
Yeah.
what happened. And that can be through any mechanism now. Obviously, there's Slack and all kinds of things. But yeah, I think it's really just about communication and putting yourselves in the client's shoes of
Yeah.
what else is likely going on in their day,
Mm,
and when am I going to be most effective at communicating
right.
with them? When and how, right? Like,
Yeah.
so I think that's also just a good part of that initial onboarding of
Mm,
like, how do you like to communicate? Here's how we like to communicate, and
mm,
here's how we do not communicate. You
yeah.
also set
Yeah.
guardrails of like, you're not calling me on my weekends,
Yeah.
or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Have clear expectations of how you're gonna work together.
Absolutely. No, that's really great. And something also that I caught, I'm not sure whether that was just before we started recording or when we were recording, you were saying that some of the lessons that you will take away, that people can take away from this, like even like the mentoring, like, because it wasn't your mistake, it was someone in the team. And, they must, like something that was really, really nice that Scott Caruthers in our previous episode said, he was like, yeah, no one can beat you up. He said, you're someone that cares about your job. No one can beat you up about the mistake you've made more than yourself about the
Yes.
mistake that you've done.
Yes.
So yeah, it would be really great to, get into the whole, like, how was this person helped through this process so that they didn't just sit in the mistake and, blame themselves about it. Like, and how did they develop in terms of like learning from this?
Yeah, I heard Scott say that and I was like, "Oh man, that is so true." Yeah, so I think when like for me, I knew that this person felt horrible. And
Mm,
so me saying anything from a blame standpoint or you should have or any of that in the moment, not helpful.
mm,
Not
mm.
helpful at all. I think a lot of people in doing that, they'll shut down
Yeah.
and will not be able to, you know, think further ahead. Okay,
Mm,
we're going to need to get on this call. If you're thinking that you are this tiny and all is lost, it's not going to be helpful for the client. It's not going to be helpful for your growth,
no.
and it's not going to be helpful for me.
Yeah.
I have somebody who I know is highly talented, highly skilled, made a mistake. And so how can you give the mistake the breadth it needs to settle while
Yeah.
still obviously addressing the needs you need to address to move forward.
Yeah.
But don't address the like, you did this wrong. How could you? No, that kind of thing. That
Yeah.
needs space.
Yeah.
And that needs space in coming back to, okay, we've gotten off the call with the client. We know our next steps with this client. Let's also set aside time to talk about our broader processes
Mm,
and
mm.
do and if you had the processes in place, I thought we had decent processes, but there were clearly holes
Yeah.
that we could address.
Yeah.
But, if there is a clear set of processes and the, following through on them broke down at some point, just sitting down and saying, "Okay, let's just walk through what happened and what we can all learn going forward."
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously it's a different conversation if this is a habitual problem
Yeah.
where somebody's
Yeah.
making mistakes. That's not the case. This person is like incredibly successful now. So that I think, again, kind of the put yourself in that person's shoes, and
Yeah.
how would you best learn from this, and what would you like to see from a mentor or boss or
Yeah.
manager?
Do that.
So
So as you were saying that, I could almost like, it's a weird thing that happens. Like I could almost hear someone going, yeah, but Annie, we need to go through the process of you made a mistake. I mean, sure, we don't want to do it immediately. It's all about solving the problem that is important now. So when do you do that? When do we sit down? Is it more of a, you know, like performance review conversation that you has already planned, or, you know, do it early, like, or is it even not necessary depending?
I guess it would also, yes, it would depend on the situation, on the person, how long have they been in the role, what kind of performance have they been, performing, level have they been performing at? Is there something else going on in their life? All of those things contribute to how you address the issue. And so you got to be adaptive to
Yeah.
the situation and the person. I do think not to wait, like, don't wait for reviews. Like, people should
Sure.
not be hearing about challenges and problems first at a performance review.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
I think that what I mean by giving it space, I just mean, even if I think Scott said this, go for a walk.
Yeah.
Let them go for a walk. Let them have lunch, whatever it is. And it may not even be the same day. It may be we've addressed everything we can from the client's perspective, gotten
Yeah.
everything buttoned up, go home, get some rest, or, go out for dinner, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And we can chat about this in the morning and set
Yeah.
up some time. But, I think in a way that feels like the mission of this debrief, or
Mm.
whatever you're gonna call it, is learning.
Yeah.
Learning and growth. That's the
Yeah.
mission. It's not
Yeah.
blame. It's, whether
Yeah.
at the individual level and also at the team or organizational level as well.
Yeah.
What are their
Yeah.
learnings there from?
Yeah. Yeah. Another point I like picking out from these kind of stories is what was surprising. Like, because sometimes people have been like, you know, it was a client that we didn't have a great relationship with, and this mistake was like, it would have made things worse, but they were actually a lot more chill than we thought that they would be. Or even something internally, maybe a manager that, you know, felt that didn't really care, then really came in with you guys. Was there something surprising that really highlighted that things actually aren't the way that you thought they should be, and even is even better, or might even
Yeah.
highlighted that things are actually worse than what you thought they should be, that this issue highlighted?
This issue highlighted for me. So this client, they were always very skeptical.
Okay.
And not quite trusting. So
Mm.
the fact that this happened with their account was, I mean, like, obviously we felt terrible, and it was kind of scary. We were going to have to get on this call and really try to bring them through
Mm.
this challenge,
Yeah.
hopefully, and hopefully
Yeah.
not get fired. So I was surprised most in that example where they listened
Okay.
really well. That was amazing. They could have just got on the phone and just yelled,
Yeah.
but they
Yeah.
didn't. And they said, "Okay, what happened?" And, we, again, without over explaining, explained the very basic thing that happened that was wrong,
Mm. Mm.
and took ownership of the mistake. And then I think, and this wasn't, not everyone's going to react the same way, but I think because we were able to get on the phone right away, we acknowledged the sense of urgency of the situation,
Good.
took responsibility, and then quickly pivoted to, like, now let's solve it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and try to regain trust that way. That it wouldn't work with I mean, there's
No.
still going to be some clients that say, "No, I'm out."
Yeah.
But also, I found that sometimes, not always, the challenging clients can be the best clients,
Yeah.
and the easy clients can be just not
Yeah.
the best clients, I guess.
Yeah.
That's not to say, and I mean challenging by they push
They're
you,
pushing you.
right?
Yeah.
They're pushing you. And also those clients, when I say tough, and the best clients are also the ones that bring you to the table, bring the agency or the consultant to the table. I talk about this a lot. If you are working with an agency, working with a consultant, they are only going to be as good as the information that they are have visibility into, especially now, right? Like, data is so important, so foundational to success for campaign success. But I'm thinking about things like, obviously, basics of we're changing our website and all our URLs are going to change. I had that experience, right? Like, oh, I'm sorry, everything 404. We didn't tell you that we were launching a new website. Yeah.
Like,
that's
great.
great.
Why we're not having the revenue? I wonder why.
Yeah. And also, things like, what campaigns are they doing outside of paid search or paid media? If they have email campaigns, if they've got catalog drops, if they've got outdoor campaigns, all of that
TV ads,
feeds back into what is happening in your online campaigns. So those kinds of things. And then obviously things like our warehouse is not set up to be able to ship bundles. So we cannot try to advertise bundles or, create new SKUs in this way until, we've got a 6-month outlay. Until we're ready to do that. So things like operationally, as well as what's happening in the broader marketing perspective for the client is really, really helpful to bring visibility to your agency.
I mean, I've said this so many times, even I'm bored of myself saying the fact that we should not work in silos. Guys, we should not work in silos. I'm like, be really great at what you're doing with paid search, but make sure that you know how SEO affects, TV affects, email, make sure you know all these things. CRO especially as well has become a lot more important, in the past few years. So like, guys have really got to just at least be aware. And so like, even like at PPC live events, it will always, every once in a while, I'll be like, get someone who's like programmatic, an SEO person, someone just be like, let them come and share to you so that you hear that, okay, what they're doing there will probably affect how paid search runs. I'm like, so.
Yeah. And sometimes that means you're working across agencies, right? You've got multiple agencies doing each slice of the tactical pie, and giving them insight into what the others are doing is also super helpful. And as an agency or a consultant not being threatened by that work that's happening, that serves no one.
No, not at all. Okay. So like one also other question I like asking is like, let's say someone is in this position of like, they've got an international client, they've woken up to a mistake has happened. An email has come through saying we need to talk now, and you know what the mistake is, and they're a bit scared. What's your advice to them?
To make sure you take a breath. Like, don't just hop on the call. Regroup with the team. Get an understanding of what the situation really is. Do as much preliminary digging as you can so that you're not hopping on a call blind, and you're able to come with a understanding of what went wrong. And hopefully start to be able to pivot the conversation around here's what, towards a solution-oriented discussion. That would be my recommendation. While still conveying a sense of urgency, right? And sometimes you will quickly know. I know exactly what happened. And I can get on a call with you right now. So, but if, and if it's, and also I would say, I mean, I hope this goes without saying, but you don't blame the junior person who made the mistake, right? You take ownership.
You'd be surprised how that actually does still need to be said. I'd be sad to hear that some people still need to hear that. Like some managers, some heads up still need to hear that. Like the blame culture that I've seen in some agencies have been like, oh gosh, really guys, we're still doing this?
I know. That does not reflect well on you. No. You can say, yes, this person made the mistake. We take full responsibility, right? But like, that it is not, it does not reflect well on you to the client, I promise
Yeah.
you, as
Mm.
also having been in-house to hear that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, that's an interesting, viewpoint of
it
that. It's like the client hearing that is not thinking well of you because you've just said, "Oh, this is the person that did it," and you throw someone else. So, because if you're willing to throw someone on the bus, under the bus, you're willing to do that of anyone, and that could be them one day. And
yeah.
yeah, I totally get that point of view. We are going to go to, which I'm sure our listeners are just eagerly waiting for you to give your thoughts in the industry in general, but I just like you to just give like a one sentence. What's one big takeaway that you want people to take from just that story you've shared? And even if they were distracted by other things, what's like the big headline of that story?
I guess it would be, oh gosh, I mean, there's so many. Like, processes matter
Yeah,
and taking responsibility
yeah,
matters.
yeah,
And the big takeaway is learning from mistakes.
yeah,
Hopefully,
yeah,
right? Like, hopefully you learn from your mistakes
yeah,
as best you can.
as best you can.
And
Fantastic.
we all make them. And we
Yeah,
all make them. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. All right, going to your many years of experience of seeing what people are sharing about what they're doing, experiencing how they're experiencing the Google Ads updates, not even how they're experiencing the updates itself, how they're experiencing announcements of updates that are coming up. There's like one of the biggest one this month that is coming up is August 17th, where smart bidding is or could be changing. But in the spirit of, because I know you've given a lot of insights about it. You shared a video recently about, doing a Q&A as to what should come. So it's not about repeating yourself in that area, but it's more about where do you think people are going wrong in how they're approaching this? What's the mistake people are making in terms of like a loophole that they've just gone, oh, that's not the right way to see what we've just announced. What's the mistake people are making in terms of how they're approaching this?
Yeah, and this is certainly not universal, and it's not even isolated to this update, but
Mm,
I it all kinda goes back to, like, the understanding the fundamentals still really matters,
yeah.
and it is very easy to take a knee-jerk reaction, and not
Mm.
saying that not saying this is
Not
universal,
everybody. Yeah.
to changes, right? And I've been guilty of this too, and or just assumed this is a bad change.
Mm.
And then what I think is important is to understand, okay, what's actually changing and what, how does that actually affect my current implementation, my current strategy, and the way that I've set in this case, targets.
Yeah.
So and also it's always good feedback of like, how can we communicate better? I'll
Mm.
tell you, being on this side, it's often very complex you want to be very precise in your wording,
Yeah.
and then that can sound jargony and actually make it kind of harder to explain.
Yeah.
But so taking this August 17th update, for one, it's only impacting campaigns that are limited by budget and
Mm.
overachieving on the target that you've set in the campaign. This has the campaigns that are not restricted by budget already work this way. So
Yeah.
right there, and I know I know a lot of people operate with constricted budgets. We do always say if you're using smart bidding and you're going to use a target, we like always recommended not having capped or constrained budgets and or if you don't know your target and you have a fixed budget, use max conversions, max conversion value without a target. So
Mm.
those are still your option. If you have a very set budget,
Mm.
you can use those bid strategies. And so I think, the going back to the fundamentals. So basically what this is doing is just kind of unifying how targets are used by the system and
Mm.
aligning your targets to the bids.
Yeah.
So like our recommendation is if you have campaigns that are limited by budget and overachieving on their target, look at your current average target performance, look at your
Yeah.
full conversion cycle, and adjust the target if you want to keep achieving that average performance.
Yeah.
If you don't and you want to keep your target, you can expect to likely be in entering different auctions, and that can obviously change your bids and CPCs. But I think really the key is thinking about your target is your efficiency lever.
Yeah.
And when if you're budget constrained, that is your efficiency lever. So if you want, you know, more conversion volume at a lower CPA,
Yeah.
then lower the CPA. I
Yeah.
guess does that make sense? So
Yeah.
you're you're thinking about your target in terms of your like directly towards your business goals,
Yeah.
and your target will more closely align with your bid now in budget constrained campaigns when you're using
Yeah.
a target.
Yeah. You'd think that, well, hopefully that most advertisers are aware that their targets should be aligned with the business goals, but it's, people, I think that's something that like another previous, guest has said that, yeah, a big learning for her from a mistake that she made was like, we really need to, even what we test, the different things that are coming out, it's about the business goals, because we might think, okay, it makes sense to, let's say, change the account structure for us because, we know like, well, this is what the website looks like. But then if that means there's going to be a drop in revenue for a couple of weeks where the business cannot afford to have a drop in revenue, you've not matched what you're trying to test effectively according to business goals. And then, so therefore you're wrong, even though technically that's best practice. So doing things according to what will make sense for the business should always be paramount, is what I've really been hearing from other guests too.
Yeah. Yeah, for absolutely. And again, this is where like having that seat at the table to understand what the client's goals are, what their, if there's promotions going on, obviously, inventory levels, all of those kinds of things. What are the margins on the products? Are the margins changing on the product? All of those factors go into the bidding strategies that you're setting. So, but I think the main thing is, you know what else I would say? And
Yeah.
this is going to sound strange, but to read help center articles. I know there are challenges when sometimes things are not updated
There's a
as
lot. Yeah.
much as
And there's a
possible,
lot
but
of those.
yeah, but there's also a lot of information in those pages that is some real gems in there in terms of like just basics of how things work.
Yeah.
And I remember being at Search Engine Land and writing a story and saying, I don't know if has Google ever even talked about this?
Yeah.
And it's in the Help Center article that I thought I was familiar with, but I guess I
Yeah.
didn't read.
Yeah.
And that is not to say, you need to spend hours in the Help Center articles, but there are, if you're thinking, do I really understand how that works? Like that, you may find
Yeah.
some helpful information in there. So in terms
Absolutely.
like the bidding pages can be very helpful as well.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, right now, I imagine that a lot of people probably should do that as homework before August 17th, so that they really get the idea of what's going to change for them. Because
Yeah.
I imagine for a lot of people, nothing will change even because they're doing their jobs well. They know their targets. They know what the business goals are. They're matching that, and yeah. So yeah, it'll be interesting
Yeah.
to see.
Sometimes it can just be a good. Also, there are they can just sort of be a good refresher to
Yeah.
take a peek.
Absolutely. Okay, and then going into also now talking about, like, let's say mistakes that you see people using in terms of approaching mistakes people make in terms of how they approach, let's say, AI implementations, because yeah, I've been big in terms of loads of updates in the past couple of years now. How people are approaching it that you think that's not how you should use it in terms of, let's say, even things like, ask advice and the new ways of engaging with the platform to maybe like give you ideas or optimizations to apply to your accounts. How are ways that you've seen people have said that they've used it that way, they've not liked the outcome, and you can point to like, well, that's not how it should have been used? Are there any examples that come to mind about like kind of things like that?
Yeah. I mean, I think if you take Ask Advisor, that's obviously a newer product.
Yeah.
We all know these things need time to
Yeah.
learn and evolve. And so keeping the feedback coming, super
Yeah.
helpful, but expecting it's not going to be 100%
Yeah.
accurate, which I think we
Accurate.
try to make clear. But I think those are the kinds of things that understanding how AI models work, they get better with time, and feedback really, really helps. So
Yeah.
I would keep that in mind. And then I guess in terms of how people are using new features, I wouldn't say I see anything new
Mm.
in, specifically around new campaign types or new features. I
Mm.
think it's still, I think things have always been evolving and
Yeah.
seemingly evolving very rapidly in this space, right?
Mm.
It always feels like things are changing.
Right. Yeah.
And part of the reason why I was interested in this role is we were at this sort of pivotal time of automation. Back, that's what we called it then, and privacy changes. Like there was
Yeah.
so much of kind of fundamentally shifting that trying to help folks navigate that and help bring that feedback in, I thought
Yeah.
could be helpful. And so now I think the real difference is that pace of change in terms of how the models in many of the stuff is like a lot of the stuff is just back end
Yeah.
improvements. So the old saying of if you tried something once and it didn't work, try it again,
Mm.
I think is even more relevant
Mm.
now, again, because of the
Yeah.
pace of change and pace of back end improvements. And again, still the fundamentals of like, what are we trying to test?
Yeah.
What are the metrics that are going to indicate if this is working positively?
Mm.
If you are trying to increase your value, your
Yeah.
conversion value,
Mm.
then CPCs are probably not the metrics you're going to want to look at, right? Like, what are the
Mm.
business outcomes? Going back to the business outcomes, like looking at the metrics that are really indicating the change in value, volume,
Mm.
business outcomes for the business, I think is still just like should be your North Star.
Yeah.
And then I think obviously things improve with time.
Mm.
If you're going to be testing things, like as much as you can have a test budget,
Yeah.
I think that is and testing ethos and
Yeah.
testing mindset and setting expectations with stakeholders, clients.
Yeah.
And that's really the way to sort of be uh, ahead of the curve
Yeah.
and ready for whatever is next.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And mentioning whatever is next, can you give us any insight into what people should be expecting like next in the next 6 months or 12 months of what Google is testing?
Uh,
Or
I
even like the
think,
types of updates that we should expect, maybe.
yeah. So some of the things at GML that were announced are going to be still
Still
rolling
coming.
out.
Yeah.
Yep. So I would look at those announcements. I think, you know, broadly speaking, when I talked to Vidya Srinivasan, who is the head of ads and
Yeah.
commerce at
Yeah.
Google, when I spoke with her at GML, and I think, she said, this is the path that we're on. We are moving, we're bought in, we are moving ahead. And so that to me is a clear signal of how do I get my teams and how do I have the conversations I'm having with my clients of let's start planning. Like if we're not
Yeah.
testing the waters now, what is that gonna, how can we get there?
Mm.
How can
Mm.
we look, obviously, like crystal ball, but if that's what's been said,
Yeah.
we can see what's been happening in the last
Yeah.
2 years or
Yeah.
so, and how can we best set ourselves up for success?
Yeah. Absolutely. Look, I can't think of a better note to leave you on. Like, thank you, Ginny. You have given us so much, so many insights and being generous with your time here. You're so generous with your time and your answers with us, whether it's on Twitter or LinkedIn or Slack groups and different Slack groups. So really, really grateful for that. Thank you so much, Ginny. It's been an amazing conversation.
You're welcome. Well, hopefully I try to answer them the way I would want to be answered to. So when
Yeah.
I fall short, please let me know.
Yeah, we do. A lot of people do.
Yeah.
Right. I'm like, guys, you just need to be a bit patient sometimes, is what I
Yeah.
think with a lot of people.
It's all
But
right. Yeah.
before we wrap up, a nice fun question that, is not about PPC really at all. If your PPC career were a movie, what would the title be?
Okay, and this is a made up title, right?
Yeah, it can be. Yeah,
Okay.
of course.
I think it would be something like The Crooked Sidewalk.
Okay. Interesting.
I've
Why?
not had a linear career in
No.
any way,
No.
shape, or form, but always sort of stayed on the same directional path in terms of working in digital
Indeed.
advertising. But
No, amazing. I really found it very interesting, like, that, yeah, the conversation that we had about, search engine land turning 20, that, working for Google was never necessarily like a dream job, a dream company at some point. It's just something that came at the right time and, right stage in your life. And yeah, you went with it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was not. I think I said I was going to keep doing some consulting, working on
Yeah.
a project. And so
Yeah.
you never know what's going to come around the bend.
Yeah, never know. I just hope no one in the industry has made you regret that decision with all the with all the banging on your doors to all the questions that we asked. I hope there's not been any moment going, oh God, why did I do this? When because I love it with the
No.
way that sometimes you'll tell us, guys, I'm on holiday. So, just in case that you have to tell us that you're on holiday. It's just so funny.
I know. Well, yeah, I did. I started doing that. I just thought it'd be helpful because there's nothing worse than, and I know I do miss some questions in here and there. So don't ever hesitate to ping me again. But
yeah, I mean, you're one person, it's like, yeah,
yes.
of course you're going to miss. And sometimes the algorithm, LinkedIn and Twitter, they're not always perfect in terms of showing you what the news you want to see. So yeah, just keep that in mind. But yeah, thank you so much. I mean, I usually ask people where people can find you. I know you're very prevalent and very vocal on LinkedIn, on Twitter, X. Are there any other platforms or like on YouTube? You share videos and they're of the stuff. But any other like areas that we should be aware that maybe people are not too aware that you show up as well?
Yeah. So last year we started the Ads Decoded podcast, which is on YouTube, on the Google Ads channel, and I'm a little bit on Threads. I
Okay.
try to
Right.
remember
Yeah.
Threads, and then I'm in some of the Slack groups, so
Yes.
Paid Search Association and PPC
Yeah.
chat, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah. No,
yeah.
amazing. So many areas that you give us your time and attention. So really, really love that. Well, on that note, Ginny, thank you so much. That's been an amazing conversation, and I'm sure our listeners have found that extremely useful. And yeah, I'm sure we'll catch up soon. What's like the next event for you actually? Because yeah, that's another thing I like to ask. PPC Live is all about events. Are you going to be
Yeah.
in Europe or more in the US?
Yeah, so I have not been able to do much travel lately, but I will be going to SMX Berlin at the end of September. So I will
Amazing.
hopefully
See you
see a
there.
lot of my EMEA friends over there. Yes.
Oh, we're excited for that. We'll be so excited for that.
Good.
So yeah, that's like end of September. So yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
like, September 29th to October 1st. Oh, that's fantastic. Looking forward to that. Well, yeah, definitely.
Yes.
We'll catch up then. But yeah, for now, thank you so much, Ginny, for your time. And yeah, we'll see you on the social very soon. Sure.
Thanks, Anu. Thanks for the walk down memory lane. It was fun.
Amazing. Thanks.
All right.
Thank you so much, Ginny, for sharing that very your own personal experience in the industry and how you pick back up from that mistake that happened. And so it's very, insightful insights as to what to do, the things to do next. And also looking at, being able to answer some questions as to our industry on how we approach Google and Google and their Google updates and the way we do that is not quite right, especially with our August 17th update coming next week. So that's, from when people will be listening to this will be happening in about a week, I imagine. Or if you're listening to this after August 17th, you're probably going, oh, after all that hoopla and all that things that, people made, it probably wasn't that big a deal or an update, or you're thinking, yeah, it was a big deal, or you're like just grateful for what Ginny has told you and you agree with her, or maybe you don't. Let us know. Share it on LinkedIn, share it in my DMs. But I think it's just always good to remember that the basics and the structural fundamentals of how digital marketing work, that it's about your customer, what they want to see, how they're going to see your ads, and ensuring that it communicates directly what your product is. That's never going to change. So a lot of the ways of how, monitoring and being able to see your ads is going to change. And that is why paid search marketers will always be needed. I think sometimes people used to say that, oh, Google is trying to push out the paid search marketer. But as much as there's going to be all these new ways and sometimes confusing ways of how to implement a paid search campaign, that's where a paid search marketer's role is still going to be fundamental and critical for a lot of companies, even from SMBs all the way to, the big enterprise companies. So for all the full information and the full transcripts, not just the show notes, please go to podcast. Also check out the article we wrote about getting advice from all the folks, from like about over 20 folks, like several folks who have gone through all these industry changes. They give advice on how to prepare for the August 17th update. So just go to our ppc.live page onto our blog and you'll see the article that's been put together for that. And before I leave you, I'm also delighted to share that I am taking on coaching clients. So if you go to themarketinganu.com, you'll be able to see the different aspects of how I can help you in terms of whether it's about, building up your confidence or just trying to figure out how to go for that promotion or whatever it is. Or if you just even want a CV review, someone send me a copy of that, get in touch with me. Go to themarketingandrew.com. We'll be able to do a 15-minute free discovery call and to figure out what it is exactly that you need help with. So I hope you've enjoyed the show and I look forward to bringing more PPC F-ups and charms next week. Thank you. Bye.